There's a particular kind of silence that exists at 3 a.m. in a recording studio. It's not peaceful. It's heavy, waiting, like the moment before lightning strikes. Leland Tyler Wayne knows this silence well. The world knows him as Metro Boomin. But before the platinum plaques, before the Grammys, before his tag became one of the most iconic sounds in hip-hop, Metro! He was just a kid from St. Louis who understood something the rest of U.S. couldn't hear yet. He understood darkness, and he knew how to make it beautiful. 2009, St. Louis, Missouri. While his classmates were out living teenage lives, 16-year-old Leland Wayne was in his mother's basement, surrounded by the glow of a single computer monitor, teaching himself how to build worlds. His mother, Leslie, was a single parent who worked multiple jobs. She didn't understand the music at first, the trap hi-hats, the ominous melodies, but she understood her son's obsession. She saw something in his eyes when he talked about sound. While most producers were chasing club bangers and radio hits, this teenager was crafting something else entirely. Soundscapes that felt like walking through abandoned buildings. Melodies that sounded like memories you couldn't quite place. Drums that hit like heartbreak. He uploaded beats to online forums with names like Trap Dark Melody Emotional Type Beat. No views, no comments. Just a kid in St. Louis, sending his darkness into the void, hoping someone would hear it. And then, someone did. Atlanta was calling. The city where trap music was being born in real time. Where Future was about to change the sound of hip-hop forever. And where a teenager from St. Louis was about to become indispensable. When Metro first arrived in Atlanta, he was a ghost. 17 years old, driving 4 hours each way from St. Louis to Atlanta, sleeping in his car between sessions, surviving on gas station food and pure ambition. He wasn't networking. He wasn't schmoozing. He was just making beats. Dark, cinematic, haunting beats that sounded like nothing else in the city. And then Future heard one. Karate Chop. The beat that changed everything. That eerie, descending melody. Those skeletal drums. It sounded like anxiety. Like paranoia. Like being alone in a city that wants to swallow you whole. Future heard it and knew immediately. This kid understood the darkness he was trying to express. What followed was an era of hip-hop that still defines the genre today. Future's DS2, 21 Savage's breakout moments, The Weeknd's darker impulses, and behind every haunting melody, every cinematic moment, every track that sounded like a movie score, was the kid from St. Louis who never stopped working. And among those collaborations was one that seemed destined to last forever. Drake, the biggest rapper on the planet. And Metro, the producer who could translate Drake's Toronto melancholy into Atlanta trap. What a time to be alive. It wasn't just an album title. It was a statement. Drake and Future. Metro as the sonic architect. The sound of victory, of invincibility, of a bond that seemed unbreakable. By his early 20s, Metro Boomin had become one of the most in-demand producers in hip-hop. His tag was everywhere. His sound was inescapable. He'd built an empire from darkness. And then, tragedy struck. June 2022. Leslie Joanne Wayne, the woman who worked multiple jobs to support her son's dream, who let him turn her basement into a studio, who drove him to Atlanta before he could drive himself, who believed when no one else did, was killed in a murder-suicide. Reports stated that her husband, not Metro's biological father, shot her before taking his own life. For months, the music stopped. The most prolific producer in hip-hop went silent. The darkness he'd been crafting in sound had invaded his real life, and for the first time, he didn't know what to do with it. But silence, as Metro had learned years ago, is just sound waiting to be born. What emerged from that grief was Heroes and Villains, an album that wasn't just about trap music or chart success. It was about survival, about transforming the worst pain imaginable into something the world could feel. The album featured everyone: Future, 21 Savage, Travis Scott, Young Thug, and it was dedicated to his mother. Every beat, every cinematic moment, every collaboration, it was all for Leslie. The woman who believed a kid in a basement could change the world. And he did change the world. Just not in the way either of them expected. But beneath the success, something was brewing. A personal tension. An unspoken rift. The kind of thing that festers in silence until it explodes. 2024. Metro Boomin and Future announced a joint project titled We Don't Trust You. The name alone felt like a statement. A warning shot. March 22nd, 2024, We Don't Trust You dropped. And on it, a track that would ignite one of the biggest rap feuds in recent years. Like that, Metro crafted the beat, dark, aggressive, cinematic. And Kendrick Lamar delivered a verse that would send shockwaves through hip-hop. He took aim at Drake and J. Cole directly, dismissing the idea of a big three. That verse lit the match. Drake responded weeks later with push-ups and other subliminal tracks, targeting Kendrick, and taking small, pointed shots at Metro too, mocking the producer's involvement. Metro didn't stay silent. In May 2024, he uploaded a beat titled BBL Drizzy, a mocking meme-fueled instrumental inspired by Drake's cosmetic surgery rumors circulating online. He made it public, even offering a contest for artists to rap over it. It was bold, it was playful, but it was also war. BBL Drizzy went viral, racking up millions of views and streams. It became both a meme and a weapon, the internet's soundtrack to the Drake-Kendrick rivalry. Through tweets and posts, Metro made it clear that this wasn't just industry politics. There was tension, personal, creative, and philosophical. And he wasn't backing down. In a November 2024 GQ interview with Elliott Wilson, Metro confirmed there was indeed a personal issue behind his rift with Drake. He refused to give details, but clarified it wasn't over women or gossip. Something happened that made him shake his head. He didn't elaborate further, but the damage was done. Weeks later, Future and Metro dropped a follow-up. We Still Don't Trust You. Another #1 debut. Another chapter in a sound that defined the trap generation. Together, they launched the We Trust You tour. Massive shows, cinematic visuals, and a clear message that their partnership remained unbreakable. By the end of 2024, Metro had transformed from a behind-the-scenes producer into one of hip-hop's most visible figures. His fingerprints were on every major conversation, his beats in every corner of the culture. And while the war of words between rappers started to cool, Metro's momentum didn't. 2025, he hinted at new music, a continuation of his vision. Another project, described as expansive and cinematic, reportedly titled A Futuristic Summer. 20-plus tracks, dozens of features, and a sound that blended pain, victory, and growth. From a basement in St. Louis to the center of hip-hop's biggest modern conflicts. From a teenager making beats with 0 views to an architect whose decisions could shift the culture. Metro Boomin didn't just produce music. He produced moments, movements, and even amid grief, loss, and industry warfare, he remained grounded in the sound that started it all. Darkness. They say tragedy changes you. They say loss defines you. They say beef can destroy careers. But Metro Boomin proved something different. He proved that if you master your darkness, if you turn pain into power, and if you stay true to your vision, you become unstoppable. 3 a.m. The studio. The silence before the sound. Metro Boomin isn't just a producer. He's a translator of pain, a craftsman of emotion, a survivor who turned his losses into legacy and his grief into greatness. He built an empire from shadows. He survived tragedy that would have broken most. He went through one of hip-hop's most intense years and came out thriving. And through it all, he never compromised his sound, never softened his darkness, never stopped creating. The architect of sound, the kid from St. Louis who taught the world that darkness isn't weakness, it's power. Metro Boomin, still booming, still building, still turning every loss, every betrayal, every battle into art that will outlive us all. Subscribe for more deep stories from the music world. The legends no one tells, the journeys that shaped everything you hear, and the artists who turned their pain into power.